Okay, it's week 7 of the Premier League, September 30th through to the 1st of October. So we're off again, and the early kick-off was at the John Smith Stadium, with Spurs a real test of Huddersfield's Premier League credentials. Spurs, fresh from their clinical win in Cyprus, made an energetic start, matching the host, and then an error near the halfway line was pounced on by Kane, and inevitably it ended up in the bottom right hand corner. So 1-0 Spurs after 8 minutes. This guy Kane is robotic with his accuracy, and was involved in the second, scored by Davis the fullback after great teamwork. On 23 minutes, Kane again exploded with his left foot just outside the box to make it 3-0. Further scares for the Huddersfield defence continued, but they managed to get to the break. The second half was an anti-climax as Spurs took their foot off the gas. Huddersfield showed some grit. The crowd was still noisy and exuberant, but this was a wake-up call for them about life in the Premier League. Oh yes, almost forgot. Sissoko added a late fourth, with Kane relaxing, having been substitute. I'm not sure if he would be that happy with Pochettino denying him the opportunity of a second hat-trick in 4 days. Not wishing to repeat myself, high-flying Man United were at home to Crystal Palace, still without a goal in the league this season. Now 2 minutes in, and the gloom was evident on Roy Hodgson's face after Rashford turned the full-back inside out, then ran to the line and laid the ball back to Mata, who said thank you, and that was 1-0. Palace responded and dug in, with United starting to look a little predictable, with passes moving sideways. Then Young, on the left, hit a great cross to the far post. Hennessy misjudged it, and Fellaini prodded it in from a couple of yards. A few minutes later, Smalling in for Bally went close with a header. After the interval, a viciously hit free kick from Rashford was met by Fellaini's head, and game over, 3-0. Palace did have some possession, but failed to use it purposefully. Lukaku, after missing a gilt-edged chance, finally got his goal after Martial set it up on a plate. Martial continues to be impressive coming off the bench. Poor Hodgson was pragmatic in interview, but will need far more than that if Palace are to avoid relegation. The match of the round was the clash between Chelsea and Man City at the Bridge. City were without Aguero after his accident in a Dutch taxi, cracked rib, and Baseway was on the bench for Chelsea. It was a high quality encounter, but few clear-cut chances. Chelsea suffered an early setback, while Morata limped off with a hamstring issue. But Conte didn't put Baseway on, which I couldn't quite get, as he scored the winner against Atletico Madrid on Wednesday. The match was decided by a touch of class. De Bruyne, on 67 minutes, hit a delightful left foot shot that gave Courtois no chance. So City deserved the win, 1-0, and joined United back at the top. Earlier, Stoke had played Southampton. Van Dijk starting for Saints for the first time this season, and Berahino also starting after a lengthy stay on the bench. At a very wet Bet365 stadium, the teams were well matched with defences on top. Then Shakira's powerful corner was headed in by Diouf. Into the second half, Van Dijk gave away a penalty by pulling Berahino, but he got off the floor to miss the pen. A ponderous second half was livened up when Yoshida, with a great volley, equalised on 75. Hughes brought on Crouch, and he rewarded Hughes when he prodded the ball over the line after a catalogue of mistakes and mishits in the box. Stoke hung on thanks to Zuma clearing off the line. Well, to West Brom, who took on Watford. It's an exciting game with Albion 2 up by the 26th minute, courtesy of Rondon and Evans, only to be pegged back by a Watford side, first from Ducora and the equaliser in the 5th minute of added time by the Brazilian Richarlison. He grabbed the winner last week at Swansea. West Ham welcomed Swansea at the London Stadium, and it wasn't a classic. Even though Hernandez and Carroll started for the Hammers and Clement put Abraham up front with Boney, there were few chances, and as we were heading for a dull, goalless draw, Saka hit the winner in the final minute. Relief for Bilic, as the fans were showing their frustration, particularly when he benched Hernandez in the second half. So to the Vitality Stadium. Bournemouth were at home to Leicester. Mahrez was left on the bench. Bournemouth had the better of the early chances in an average first half. Schmeichel made a couple of smart saves and Defoe looked lively. Goalless it finished. So on to Sunday, 3 games. First, Arsenal had Brighton at home and started briskly with a Lacazette shot hitting the post in the first minute. A little later, Monreal scored after a few earlier close-range efforts had been blocked in the 6-yard box. Brighton had a clear plan and were compact and organised, but they couldn't contain Sanchez, who finally proved the difference with a magical back heel to Iwobi, who converted for 2-0. Midway through the second half, the match meekly cantered to the final whistle. Brighton were okay, as were Arsenal. Next up was Everton at home to Burnley. The Toffees are in the doldrums after the midweek shambles in the Europa League, and were soon on the back foot as Burnley worked together with smart passing to enable Kendrick to finish coolly. From there on, it was an uphill struggle. Rooney came on and certainly gave his all, but at the end Everton lacked any confidence and lost the game, to give Koeman a headache going into the international break. Okay, the last fixture of the week, and it brought Liverpool to face Newcastle. There was quite an ovation for Benitez from both sets of supporters. Shelby, back in the first team, responded well. Some great long passes and strength coming back to help the defence. It was an attacking game with chances at both ends, and after Van Alden had hit a post, Coutinho went one better, hitting a rocket into the top corner on 29 minutes. Liverpool, however, held the lead only briefly when a smart pass over the top from Shelby found Osilo, who with a ricochet off the defender got his shin in the way, and that was 1-1. Few clear-cut chances in the second half, and it ended 1-1. So that's it. Week off next week. Boring internationals involving Andorra. Oh, I know. Oh yes, Wales versus Ireland. Bye for now. Goal of the week. De Bruyne just edges Coutinho.